All right. Hello, everybody. This is a cabin fever reliever session from Art to Change the World. I'm your host, Kelly Frankenberg, co-director of Art to Change the World, where we try to change the world by hiring artists to do things for social justice. And one of those is saving the environment. And we have Margo here, who's going to talk about wish cycling and making art out of trash or recycling and how to tell the difference. So thanks for being here, Margo. I am going to let you share your screen and we can get going.
Right. Is that working all right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thanks everybody for coming. Wish cycling is not a good thing, actually. It's easy to think that it would be, but the definition of wish cycling is throwing something in the recycling and wishing that it's going to be actually recycled. Um, but we would rather in the solid waste world have you only recycle the stuff that you know is recyclable. So I want to welcome the Plastic Free Challenge participants. This is kind of like a joint program. It was put on by Art to Change the World, but we did it in collaboration with promoting the Plastic Free Challenge. And you can see that URL there, the tcplasticfree.ecochallenge.org. Um, Probably you are here as a result of already participating in the challenge. But if you have not, and if you are an Art to Change the World member, we need more people on the climate action team, which has a team in the challenge. And Kelly's going to put the link in the chat so that you can capture that. If you're not familiar with the Plastic Free Challenge, it is an online platform that Hennepin County, Ramsey County, Washington County have collaborated on promoting, where you get certain points for certain actions that lead you to a better understanding of plastics and hopefully decrease the use of single-use plastics. So objectives for today's presentation and interaction are to learn what plastics are recyclable at your curbside. I'm kind of assuming that everybody participating in this does have curbside recycling available or some place to take your recycling. Why not to wish cycle, as I mentioned, don't wish, no, in order to do the right thing at the right time and to get into some of the ideal plastics for reuse as art. In many cases, we're going to be unlearning outdated information. If you're as old as I am, you remember when recycling first started and everything was sorted by hand. And so we put stuff in bags and then they took it away. And now one of the most important things to understand about recycling is you do not put it in a plastic bag, at least. So anyway, and then to leave today resolving to help spread the word, share that video that we asked you to take a look at before the program, and this video that's being made of this today would be really cool. So who am I to be telling you all this stuff? I was a Green Corps member at the City of Minneapolis Solid Waste and Recycling. My supervisor, Kelly, is pictured to the left there, and she is actually listening in on this presentation, and you certainly may jump up at any time and correct me or add the nuances. Kelly is the queen of nuances and random information about recycling and what can and cannot be, and is up on all the latest. I'm currently board president of Reuse Minnesota, and I want to make the point throughout this topic that reuse is not the same as recycling, because reuse avoids the materials, the water, the energy of new manufacture. We're also not a store, but we serve resale stores, rental, repair, organizations, governments, and education. I'm also an artist. not every day, but I had managed to participate in the Mystery Trash Remix, which was a program of Art to Change the World, as was the Mississippi River Pearl that actually preceded that, and I think really helped to accelerate the expression of Art to Change the World's concern for environment. And of course, I participated in plastic-free challenges and the Stop Food Waste challenges. So, let's see. Okay, introductions. Who's here and what did you bring? To kind of preface this part of the discussion, I want to check time here. Yep, we're doing fine. Just because it has the triangle, a triangle of some sort, does not mean that it is recyclable. Even the presence of chasing arrows does not mean that it's recyclable. All that those things are is a resin identification number, RIN. So resin identification codes. Who wants to show an example of a number one? And Kelly, since you're probably seeing more of the views, I'll manage that.
I've got a one right here.
Okay, Benji has a
It's
one.
super tiny, but
I don't know if everyone
Is
can see
it?
when you're sharing your screen, Margo.
Pardon me?
I don't know. Can everyone see
I
people?
think you have to go to gallery view, maybe.
Because Margo, you're sharing your screen, so if people want to
Right.
share
Yeah, if
something,
you
they
go to
might not see
gallery
it.
view, you'll see at least 6 people. You will see. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can see more if you expand your gallery. You're not seeing the gallery on my screen, are you?
No.
No, we
Okay.
each have our own, I think.
Yeah. So, Benji, yes. All right. So, what does your object look like? We saw the code, sort of.
this
Okay.
is international too. So I was curious if it was the same system. So
It looks
plastic
like
vitamin
square,
container. Yep.
square top.
Yep. And
And
it's
then,
longer than 3 inches, I take it.
yep.
Yep. All right. Yeah.
So
And
the
so
bottom is one
regardless of what the cap is, as long as they're both plastic, you can put that in the recycling with the cap on.
with
Or
cap.
you can save the cap and make art out of it. Just don't separate the two because the cap would make it too small. Or, the cap is too small.
So if the cap is bigger than 3 inches, then it can be by itself?
No, not necessarily, because then it would be read as if it were paper. It's too flat. It would also be too flat.
Okay.
Yeah. So easiest thing to remember is plastic, leave caps on. If you're going to take them off, then use them for something else. Don't just throw them in the recycle.
So you said if the whole
Yeah.
container would be shorter, it would not be able to be recycled.
Right. Yeah. Things that are
simply.
under 3 inches. I don't know, Kelly, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think someone showed one of these, which is actually technically a number two, but it's too small. It will just fall through the cracks in the screens. I knew I could get you on, Kelly.
I tried. I was in the other room and it was too dark. Yes, correct. So like this here medication bottle is just about minimum size that you would want to go in recycling as is.
Can you show that again, please?
So
Oh,
another easy way
okay.
is like the size of your fist. So if I put this next to my fist, it's just about the size of my fist.
Great. Who has an example of a number two that isn't a film canister like this one? All right, Kelly.
All right, I went tricky. I grabbed a cleaning product, bathroom cleaner, and then I also grabbed another cleaning product with a plastic wrap on it and a spray nozzle.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And so the plastic wrap is problematic, right? And the spray nozzle is very problematic. Oh, but you can take it off. So please do before you recycle. Yeah, I have actually, this is a number 1. I don't really believe it, but it says it's number 1. And it has a pump. The pump has metal in it, and that we do not want to go in the recycle. How about a number 3? I found a number 3.
I don't think anyone has a 3.
Yeah. So that's going to be a tougher one because basically, unless you have PVC pipe hanging around, you're not really going to, you know, it's not as common in the things that we think of as being disposable. But on this list here, bubble foil, which is kind of used to wrap things and keep them cold or hot, that is made of PVC and is not recyclable. How about a number 4? I found a number 4.
I bet I can really quick. Give me a second.
I do have one.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Nope, I
Says
don't.
number 4.
Number 2. Oh, wait, hold on. Nope, I don't have one. I was
Okay.
gonna grab a honey bear because honey bears are commonly number 4s, and some mustard containers are also number 4s, but many of them are not.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Honey bears.
And mustard. Huh. So this LDPE, it says it's a 4. Is it really? Because there's quite a difference between the feel of those containers you were just talking about, Kelly, and this thing, which is, I mean, it's the speaker from my old computer in a package, but the package itself, it says LDPE number 4. Bread bags are a good example of a number 4. They just don't put the number 4 on them. Technically, they are recyclable, but not in the facilities that we are talking about tonight.
Some grocery bags will have the 4 on it too for film plastics. So,
Yeah.
you'll see it there, and you'll see it on, I don't have a sample here, but on some lids, like a Cool Whip container or something like that, the bottom will be a 5 and the top will be a 4 sometimes.
Oh, wow.
And that's where I've seen rigid 4s that aren't film.
Got it. Okay.
Yogurt lid number 4. Let's see if we can do this.
Uh-huh.
No. Nope.
Hard to see the code, but we'll take your
Yep.
word for it.
It's there.
Yeah. All right. How about number 5? Speaking of yogurt, a lot of yogurt is number 5.
Denise and I have a 5. Denise, do you want to see your 5? My 5 is a caribou thing, but I didn't know if the lid was also recyclable.
Good question.
It has like a little dome lid.
Mhm.
They usually have a number, well, sometimes around the lip, but traditionally the caribou tends to have number 1 lids and number 5 bottoms, I've noticed. That's for the flat ones for sure. I'm not sure about the domed ones.
Yeah, the dome doesn't have any number.
Mhm.
Oh wait, what does it say? See, can't really see. PDL24, is that a thing?
No,
No.
it's some manufacturer thing.
Okay. No, then it doesn't have anything on there. So
So
that's
my-
a trash. This would be trash then, since we don't know.
My
You know,
number
and I
5
guess
is
I'd little,
a
one
has
thing
a-
that I'll do is if it looks the same, like looks exactly the same, particularly with lids, I keep them together. But number 5s tend to be a little more cloudy
Yeah.
than number.
Okay. Denise, did you have a number 5 you wanted to share?
Yeah, I can't get my video to work. I've tried like a million things, but it's a plastic bag. Somebody gave me roses yesterday, and there's the recycle 5 on
Oh.
the bag that the roses came in.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like crunchy plastic, but there's a clear 5 on there.
Yeah.
We can hear it crunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the best I can do. I can't have a visual for some
It's
reason.
common that they put plants in that.
Yeah.
I recognize the sound of it.
So I would suspect that that might be mislabeled and that it's actually a 6. But also think of it, once those flowers are not in that package anymore, it's flat, right? Was
Right.
it kind of like a triangle or, like a,
Phone.
yeah, a cone. Thank you. Because yeah, if it was a cone, once the flowers are gone, it's going to be flat, and then that's going to end up being read at the plant like paper. Anyway, I think we need to move on from that part of the exercise.
Wait, should I not recycle this then?
Right,
I should throw it away, even though there's a 5 on there.
right. You should make art with it, Denise.
Sure, I can do that. It's really
Yeah,
pretty. It's
yeah.
red.
So, in
Okay.
summary, only numbers 1, 2, and 5, as indicated by the I love you symbol in American Sign Language, 1, 2, and 5, are recyclable through the current facilities. And again, if you saw the video, you understand about the sorting. The chemical level justification for all that is they can be melted. They're thermoplasts. They can be melted, pelletized, and eventually used in new manufacture. And actually, I did a little reading, and this is relating to the Plastic Free Challenge. If you want to do their Plastics 101, they direct you to a place where they're talking about how recyclable things are. Only the number 1s are melted, pelletized, used in new manufacture of the same thing, and that is basically beverage bottles. Whereas the number 2s and number 5s are downcycled, as they call it, into basically like by the yard plastic furniture and decking and other things like that. So for all our preoccupation with plastics, there's really not a whole lot of reasons that we are recycling them, but it's better than having them end up in the trash. And most of the rest, the 3, 4, 6, and 7 are what's called thermosets, and they can't melt for reuse. They would simply burn. And then black plastic is not recyclable at all in the current markets. And so the next slide will say,
Can I ask a question about, I know that the trucks get filled up fast and it takes a lot of gas for them to empty and refill. So I'm always feeling like I'm trying to decide, do I leave the cap on and have it take up a lot of space in the truck, or do I take the cap off, either, throw it in the trash to take up less space in the truck? Like,
it's still because of
They,
the
they
way.
prefer, yeah, just go ahead if you want me to chime in about why
Oh,
they
sure.
like
You go
the
ahead.
actual size.
By the way, Sue
Okay.
Dahl is from Anoka County Recycling, so she also knows her stuff.
And I'm on our rec committee too, so I'm always like digging into, when we have these questions, I dig into it with the local facilities that sort everything. And one thing that they tell us, once they've been using optical sorting for some time now, but the deal with optical sorting is it takes like tons of pictures and things of all these materials going under the conveyors. And one thing they're looking for now is the actual size of the object. So they, when we first started doing plastics and stuff, it was like squish it. It was like this squish it campaign. And a lot of people still love to smash their cans and everything, but they really prefer that everything be in the size that it is, because the optical sorter is looking for the size, and then they just shoot a blast of air at it to separate it into another area. So if it's fluffy and light and buoyant, it'll shoot off better too. So, and that was one of the reasons too for putting plastic caps back on plastic containers, was just that then they'll stay together. They probably won't squish as easily, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised to see in that video how many containers were squashed. And I was thinking, does that happen at the plant, or is it just that people are squashing their containers a lot?
I mean, it could happen probably anywhere,
Mhm.
because they're driving around with the front end loader and they could be driving over stuff. So I'm not saying it won't get recycled, right? But it's best if it's in its size, because if it's super flat, there's also a worry that it could get mixed in with the paper stream.
Yeah.
Anything really flat can get mixed in with all those fibers and all that paper going by. So it's, another reason to kind of keep them chunky.
We have a Nina raised her hand if Nina wants to
Oh,
speak.
that was my question. But can I ask one piggyback question?
Sure.
I collect all my paper in a paper grocery bag. Do
Mhm.
I have to empty that out when I put it in my recycling? Can I leave it in the paper
No,
bag?
you don't have to do that.
I can
You can
leave it
just
in the
leave it
paper.
in the bag. That's okay.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Yeah, the paper bags tend to rip and open, whereas plastic bags, if you tie them
I
tight,
never put a plastic bag in
yeah,
ever, never,
yeah,
ever. They go to the grocery
Good, good,
store.
good.
right, very
Yeah, no,
good.
but I put it in a
Yeah,
paper grocery bag,
Hmm.
and I want.
It's okay.
It's okay. Good.
yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Um, so we've talked quite a bit about things that were seen in the video. Was there anything else that people observed in watching that was a surprise to you? Any hands
I
raised?
watched Toy Story, so I was surprised that the magnet didn't go by first. I thought the magnet pulled all the metal out first, but it
Uh,
doesn't.
yeah, it looks like the hand sort for the really dangerous things, and that's another point I wanted to make is that a lot of these sortation things, you don't put random metal objects into the stream because it's coming by so quickly, and it actually can be dangerous for the workers in there. So, our main reasons for recycling properly, quote unquote, by today's standards are that we need to keep the workers safe. We need to maintain economical markets for materials, and we want to have higher recycling rates. I mentioned some people are still putting their recycling in a plastic bag. You saw in the video, 2 hours a day they spend de-plasticking their star screens because people didn't get the message that no, you're not supposed to bag your recycling. And when the workers see a bag that's tied up, they can't tell what's in it. They have to assume that it's garbage, and so they're going to throw it in the garbage stream. And all your hard work is going to go for naught. Um, and then the black plastic thing, it's because it doesn't it light needs to bounce off of it in order to be read by the machines properly, and black absorbs light, so it can't be sorted optically. I just found it fascinating when I first learned about all this stuff that everything is based on an agricultural model of threshing, separating wheat from chaff, so to speak. And
So what do we have to do to make black plastic food containers not legal anymore? For restaurants, for leftover containers, I mean, I try to bring my own leftover container, but sometimes I forget. And Costco, they try, but they still sell stuff. They still have food in black containers. It drives me nuts.
yeah,
So what, like, is that a national legislation or does that have to be local? Is that like a state thing? How do
it would be
we?
national and even international because, food comes from everywhere.
Well,
But
you could ask legislators, or you could stop buying food from the restaurant and tell them why.
right,
And you can also give the black plastic to us to make art out of that you
yeah.
can't recycle.
All right, so
Yeah,
for
I
the
don't
fun
know.
part, let's
Kelly,
look
do
at
you
the
know
fun part.
the new packaging laws where everything's supposed to be recyclable? There's just been a lot of, there's been legislation passed about packaging, and I don't have all the dates down and all that. They're just trying to get things under control right now. So basically, they're saying no packaging. The ultimate thing is that, it's either reusable or it's recyclable. And the
Or
companies will have
compostable.
several years to make their changes.
Yeah,
Um,
so that law is by 2032. Everything has to be reusable, recyclable, or compostable, and the state's list of what is recyclable is not yet finalized. There are several metro cities that have packaging ordinances. Minneapolis is green to go. St. Louis Park is the zero waste packaging ordinance. St. Paul is green to go. Roseville has one. Edina has one. And black plastics are already not allowed in those cities for places where the actual food establishment is putting the food in the package. Someone mentioned Costco. If it arrived at Costco in black plastic, that is currently allowed in those cities. But if it is put into the package on site, that is not allowed, and you should contact the city and say, hey, this place is in violation of your packaging ordinance, and then their health inspector team will follow up with them.
Good to know.
Yeah. So we wanted to talk a bit about found object art. As mentioned before, the prime materials for doing found object art would be the non-recyclables, the numbers 3, 4, 6, and 7. And examples of those would be rigid items, blister packs, things that are crunchy, like a lot of our cups as artists who sponsor, what do you call them? Receptions. We're buying these plastic cups that are number 6s, and they are not recyclable. Non-food packaging, styrofoam is a big one. Artists use a lot of styrofoam to fill things up. Random metal, wood, or ceramic, like in Al Wazinski's art here, the toaster bird. I'm sure that's not the name of the piece, but tanglers, as mentioned before, ceramic dishes and glass drinkware, candle containers. The reason those are not recyclable is that while they are glass or ceramic and would melt, they melt at a different point than food grade glass. And therefore, if they were to fall into the stream, they would pollute that stream. Yeah. So plastic flatware is a biggie. A lot of people think it's recyclable, but it is not because of the shape and the tendency to fall through those star screens. So a good example of using the plastic flatware is Laura Burles's art there. She was one of the Mystery Trash remix artists, and she painted hers. And you'll also see those in other examples that we'll show as we move along here. We did talk about caps that are, if they're not left on the plastic bottles, you don't want to put them in recycling. So go ahead and use them in art or give them to someone who can. Kelly is the queen of, she made Kelly Frankenberg, that is, made an entire monarch butterfly out of orange and yellow drink caps. So, yeah, Kelly, you want to talk a little bit about your
Sure. I can talk about my sculpture and my butterfly wings. They were at the Mill City Museum for the Stone Arch Festival, and now they're on the Flux Arts Building in Northeast. And so for this Mystery Trash remix, we all got a canister of stuff that was very similar, and we didn't know what was in it. That's why we called it Mystery. And so when we got home and we opened it up, we found all this trash. And we had to use every single piece of it in an art sculpture plus 10% of our own. So mine is on the right here. I used a mirror. And so my stuff that I added to it was the mirror and then a little shelf that goes in like a fridge or something. and some bottle caps. Otherwise, all the rest of it was in my bag. And I forget the title of mine, but it's the little man in the mirror is the one who can save the planet. So that was the concept of mine, and it was just fun to like realize there's all these things of trash. What am I going to do with it? And then I found creative ways to make it look kind of cohesive and cool. And I didn't think I could do that with every single piece that I had. So that was fun. Denise, did you want to say anything about yours? Because it's pictured here
Sure.
as well. And she
Yeah, I
won.
can.
Denise won the grand prize.
It was so much fun. And honestly, like doing this project totally inspired me to save more of my trash instead of throwing it away that's not recyclable so I can use it to make more art projects because I was having way too much fun with this whole thing. So, and like Kelly, I was able to use all the pieces and then some. So, uh, I used a lot of bottle caps too. That was the one thing I added because I've been saving my plastic caps for a long time because I know they're not recyclable and I knew I could come up with an idea of how to use them. So they ended up being like a little nature trail, like stepping stones all around the entire piece, is what I use those for. And then I also added some dead solar lights that died like many years ago. I don't know why I hung on to them, but they ended up being cool inside of the styrofoam deck thing that's kind of in the center. And then there's a lot of takeout containers is what most of the leaves are made out of from the trees, and those are all like plastic containers that are, I think they're sixes. They're ones you can't recycle. But there's a ton of those that make up the trees. And then I also had a pie tin, and I'm not sure if that's recyclable or not, but it was in my box, so I used it. So that became solar panels, and then some silver leaves for like a silver maple was kind of like the idea there. But like the orange tree on the left, that's a takeout container that I painted, and the one behind it is a different kind of takeout container that wasn't recyclable. And then yeah, I'm open for questions too, but like yeah, it was such a blast, and now everybody that yeah, I know, they save their stuff that's not recyclable to give to me so I can keep making more art. So
Tell
it
them what your
impacted
kids,
yeah.
sorry,
Yeah,
tell them
my
what your
kids.
kids say to you.
Yeah, they as they're walking to the trash, like, "Hey, mom, can you use this? Can you make a octopus with it, or you want to make art with it, or something?" So I've been collecting a lot of garbage to continue making more stuff instead of putting it in the landfill. But everybody asks me now before they go to the trash can. They like walk by me and they're like, "You want this?" I'm like, "Sure, I'll make some art with it." So yeah, I'm ready to do more art with all my non-recyclables because that was just far too fun. And my piece was called a Trashy Space to a Happy Place because when I first emptied my box, my space looked totally trashed because it was all it was a bunch of trash. It looked awful. And I stared at it for a couple of days, like, oh, it's just I just trashed my place. And then by the time I got to the point to where you're looking at this picture here, or even before then, it became like a happy place. And I kind of wished I could shrink down and play in the greenhouse in the center, that has like a broken light switch on top, and that was like a lettuce container or something, and I turned it into a greenhouse. And then I wanted to like play, on the nature trail made out of bottle caps. So, it just made me really happy looking at it. So that's why it's a trashy space to a happy place.
Thanks, Denise. And the one really cool thing is that we did with this project was everybody weighed how much trash they actually used. So that's how much we were able to calculate of how many pounds we kept out of the landfill. I think mine was like 14 or pounds or something. Margo, does anyone remember the actual number? I think it was like because we also did an art swap and all this trash too. So I think it was like 200 and some pounds at the end
It
of the
was
day that we saved or
Yeah,
more.
well, it was
more than
well
two
over a
tons.
ton with
Two
that.
tons? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, it was a lot that we saved from going in the
Yeah, it was
landfill.
like 2,400 pounds, I
Or
think.
2,400 pounds. Okay.
Yeah. So,
Mine was 22.
yeah.
But yeah, more than 2 tons of, not having that in the landfill is pretty significant. That was pretty awesome.
So a question often comes up, does curbside recycling actually get recycled? There have been people who had observed things like recycling being put in the same um, back of the garbage truck, especially like in rural areas. They'll have a recycling program and then they'll lose their market or something, and they'll keep collecting it, but it'll all go in the same place. Um, the answer in Minneapolis and St. Paul, those who are served by Eureka Recycling, which is who generated that video that we looked at, the answer is yes. If it's put in the curbside recycling, if it is the kind of material that we talked about, the 1, 2, and 5, and all the, if it meets the criteria, it does get recycled, and it stays mostly in North America and is viewed as a resource. That's what the market means. There was a point where the number twos, the milk jugs, that was a good example of a number two, I believe. They actually had more of a financial, benefit market than even aluminum at some, odd point in time. So the thing is that we just have to put more of the right stuff into recycling instead of into the trash. So in 2022, Kelly and her crews sorted through sample mountains of trash. They just took a couple sample routes here and there, and they found that over 60% of what Minneapolis customers threw in the trash could have been recycled or composted if they had put it in the curbside recycling or curbside organics. And these recyclable materials were worth at least $2.8 million, which would have been a nice chunk of change to help one of those material recovery facilities upgrade, something like that. Or what else you could do with $2.8 million.
That was 1 week's worth.
Yeah.
Or was that a year's worth?
No, well, it was a sampling. I think it was over a period of a couple of weeks. They would pull a certain route, and and then I believe if they do it again in some future year, they would take those same routes so that it was somewhat comparable.
So compare.
But yeah, it was a scientific sampling. So our biggest opportunities for improvement are jars, cans, mixed paper, and box board, cardboard. In that last one, the cardboard, they're showing that a shoebox could be turned into a pizza box. When Kelly and I were looking at this, Kelly Frankenberg and I were looking at this the other day, we were going, is that 2 pizza boxes or what? Because pizza boxes are a whole nother thing. If they are pristine, they are recyclable as recycling. If they are contaminated with food, they are compostable. So that's the little wild card there. But yeah, a recycled jar could be back on the shelf in 14 days. Recycled can could be back on the shelf in 60 days. And a whole bunch of paper can be recycled.
Like the thin, like a cracker box or a cereal box, right? It's not cardboard, but it's not paper. And I used to put it in with my paper. Then I started putting it in with my cardboard because I can't figure out which one it goes in.
It goes in cardboard, I believe.
Cardboard. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it could go in either one, basically. When they're sorting it at the facilities, they tend to float the really big, heavy boxes over. And so it's like box board, we call it, or whatever, that could end up with the regular mixed paper stream, or might get pushed on over to the other area. But mostly they want those big, thick corrugated boxes to go in the bales for corrugated.
So if my recycling company says that they don't recycle pizza boxes or red paper, does that mean they don't take it to the normal facilities? They're going to like a smaller place?
Who's your hauler?
Nitty, Nitti. I'm an
Okay.
Eden. Yeah.
I'm not familiar with the South Metro haulers as much. I really had never heard that they said don't recycle red. I mean, I guess it's a pretty strong color, but what about black paper then too?
Sure.
Mixed paper is mixed paper. It's just all kinds of paper fiber that isn't food contaminated or whatever. So that not doing red is really odd. I haven't heard that.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll have to read through the instructions again. Denise raised a hand. Do you have something, Denise?
Yeah, so I see the picture of the notebook. Um, do you need any of that taken apart, like the wire off or the cardboard cover off, or like that one even has like a cardboard pocket, or should you just leave it whole, the notebook?
They can clean the metal out at paper facilities. They can't do anything with plastic. So remove any plastic you can from paper. And then, when I look at that little half notebook thing, sometimes notebooks have plastic covers. And so those should be ripped off. Big metal fasteners, big stuff that you can take off. But they are, telling people to remove the wire from a notebook is, that's kind of a lot to ask. And they do have ways to clean those out of the paper.
Yeah. And actually that graphic is showing paper being made into a new product on the lower part of the
so
okay. That's yeah, it's a little confusing.
We have a question in the chat from Karen. She says, do we need to clean the jars, the glass and plastic, before putting them in recycling?
It doesn't have to be pristine, but if you think of how they're sorted, the more weight there is to it, the more likely it's going to get miscategorized. And so you want to at least scrape it out. Like don't try to recycle a quarter of a jar of peanut butter, but it's okay to, just get it as clean as you can. You don't have to waste a lot of water trying to make it pristine. And
she also asked if wet paper cannot be recycled. Is that correct?
When it's wet, right.
It just depends on, I guess it's how wet is wet kind of deal.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess
Right.
if I spill coffee on something, I tend to just dry it off before I put it in. Because the biggest thing with wet paper is mold, right?
Mhm.
So once it doesn't have any air on it anymore, you start getting mold and ick and yuck, So that's for sure, it's no mold. And so, clean and dry, we're always saying dry is the best, with recycling. And I find like with the jelly jar that still has jelly in it, you can just put like not just a little bit of hot water. You put that lid back on, you shake that sucker up, you dump it out, it's clean as a whistle, And
Yeah.
so it's just little things like that. When you're at one of these sorting facilities in the summertime, and if everybody's leaving a little bit of food debris on everything, and it's like 90 degrees in there, and it's like,
yeah.
it's just gross. People work at these facilities, and so I really think about that. And so you don't want anything with the potential to smell,
Right.
So what about shredded paper? What's the deal with, because they've said no, then they said yes, then they said and then okay, then when they say yes, how do you like, do you just put it in like a paper grocery bag, or what's the latest on?
Yeah, I
Well,
guess if your hauler says that they will take it, then put it in a grocery bag, yes.
Okay.
But again, thinking back to the star screens and everything, there's small pieces of paper, they're going to, explode, and it's going to gum up the works for the glass, mostly the glass stream. The glass gets broken deliberately, and every small item falls in with that glass, and it's just a nightmare. So
better to
it
just throw it out.
just blows everywhere. There's
Mhm.
been some tests and things where, we used to tell people to staple stuff in a paper bag and then throw it in and say shredded paper and all kinds of stuff. But they did some tests of it, and the fact they just don't get to the facility intact, right? Because everything gets compressed in the packer truck, then it gets thrown out on the line. It's just a lot happens to all that stuff where it's so easy for things to rip open. The best thing to do is to go to shredding events. It's high quality paper. White Ledger is really high quality, but the best way to keep it all together is to go to a shredding event. Then they'll take it, they'll recycle it, and it's really the best way.
Thank you.
Yep. Wanted to touch a little bit on compostables. When you read the side of a compostable cup, I had one here somewhere, it'll say something like, compostable if facilities exist in your area, or, not all areas have facilities. Well, if you have organized pickup of compostables or organics, the terms are kind of interchangeable. You do have access to these facilities, and I've pictured two of them here. The one in the lower part is it's the SET composting, which is in Empire Township, which is near Rosemount. And that's the old style. And then the top one is, I believe it's called Dakota Prairie. We as Green Corps members got to tour the facility before it was full of material. And what these two have in common, but they do them in different ways, is that they blow air through the pile to help the microorganisms get all of the air that they need in order to do their thing. It's an aerobic process as opposed to anaerobic, which, some of the smell that you get from these facilities is when things are not getting quite enough air. So most important thing to look at is you look for this BPI logo. And that tells you that, yes, you can put this in the organics, the compostables. Molded paper, which doesn't tend to have a resin coat on it or anything. You just go by feel. Things like egg cartons, the lower one in this example, they are compostable. You have to remove whatever paper labels are on there or plastic. Styrofoam is not, as we talked about earlier. Styrofoam has great uses in art, especially like I've heard of a lot of people who will mix different colors in, the little pockets. And so
But styrofoam is toxic, so please don't ever use it.
Yeah.
Nina, you had your hand raised?
I'm
Did
sorry,
you still have a question?
I forgot to take it down.
Oh, sorry.
Apologize.
And
And does anybody else who hasn't asked several questions already have questions? We're running right about on time, so we're good.
there, I'll just read a question in the chat, and then there was an answer. So the question was, she's been putting plastic lids back on plastic containers, but what about the metal lids on glass containers? Do we just throw away the metal lids? So Margo, you had told me that the glass lids should be taken off because glass has a different process of recycling. And then Sue said that you can put metal lids inside of food cans and pinch the top to keep them in. That is the best way to recycle metal lids from glass containers.
Yes, good answer.
And make sure that steel, if a magnet sticks to it, stays with steel and aluminum with aluminum. And Margo told me that in order to recycle like aluminum foil, it has to be the size of rolled up in a ball, the size of your fist or bigger.
Mm-hmm. So to the question
clean.
about pie plate earlier, if it's a metal pie plate, you can crunch those up. And the important thing is to crunch them up so that they don't get red like paper. READ, like paper, not RED. Okay.
I have actually one more question. So I'm on a text thread and they're saying that they go to like Target they have a plastic film recycling that you can bring cereal bags, bubble wrap, dry cleaning bags, and plastic shipping envelopes and bread bags and all those kind of things to it. So that would be a facility that does recycle those things, just not in our main recycling. Is that right? Or is okay?
Right. Yeah.
Right. And grocery stores, you'll see bins, as you walk inside the door at a lot of grocery stores. And like we say, the big box stores, Target, Best Buy, those places, it can be recycled. You can't recover it decently at a sorting facility. So that's why it's a no curbside.
Right. And after we hear from one of the other mystery trash remix people, I actually do have a slide for a couple of other things that are recyclable, but not at curbside. So, Sam, are you ready to talk a little bit about your sculpture?
Yes, I can. So, I was impacted by this project actually, by when I was going up north in northern Minnesota for vacation. It's just that I was trying to think of what I was going to do with these pieces of trash and the experience of just basking in Mother Nature for me. Um, I was thinking about this and just thinking about the future ahead and the that we just need to do better for Mother Earth. And so for me, it was kind of a spiritual experience where I wanted to create this Mother Earth figure. And I created this Mother Earth figure and a like altar, and that if we don't do better, we're sacrificing Mother Earth. And so it's kind of like, what choice do I want to make today? Am I going to just try to do these little steps one day at a time to do better for Mother Earth? And so that's it was a very profound effect on me, just like thinking about what I can do small scale, like actually remembering to bring my reusable bags instead of forgetting them every time in the store, and trying to be mindful of making sure I'm recycling things. So,
Awesome. Thanks, Sam. So Barbara's self-portrait is on the left, and she is a found object sculpture, and so her hair is actually made out of strips of garbage bags. And there's a lot of other cool stuff in there. And I just want to say that all these sculptures that you've seen here are at the Dow Gallery right now until February 14th in St. Paul. If you'd like to go see them sometime, Google Dow Gallery before February 14th.
DOW or DAU?
DOW. Right off of University, I think.
So I promised talk about a little bit items that are recyclable but not on the curbside, at least Minneapolis and St. Paul. Multi-layer plastics like chip bags with actually their metal interiors. They have a market as water filtration underground. I forget the name of the company that does these filters, but Ridwell is where I found out that there is such a thing, and they do collect them. And then, if you've been to Tear Market, they have a variety of different special collection boxes for different things. And Ridwell sometimes will have special collections. So. A good example of some of the use of multi-layer plastics, you can see a lot of them in the piece by Layla McDill, which is the large photo there. And then I used a lot of different packaging to represent a solar bee farm. And I found that I don't know that you'd call them multi-layer, but they were thin plastics. They were not stretchy, at least not super stretchy, not like the number 4, bread bags. But like if you've ever made curls out of ribbon, to put on packaging, what happens like that, if you do that with some of these, non-stretchy plastics, you'll get a little curl. And so that's where I actually hand curled several of these pieces, like the grass that's kind of standing up in the back. And then I did punch dots out of a cat food bag. And I found that the glue interacted differently with different parts of the cat food bag. If I had the white side or the yellow side, facing the glue gun, it would react in different ways. So that was pretty cool. I had a lot of really multi-layered, no plastic pun intended, revelations as I was doing the Mystery Trash Remix project. the last one that I was going to talk about is the PackTech, which pretty good picture there. Here's another one in real life, and even this, which was like on a 2-pack of peanut butter, I think. Um, these suckers are so flat that they get read as if they were paper. They are recyclable. They're number 2s, but not in the curbside. You have to take them back to Indeed Brewing or other brewing companies, and you can go to the website that is actually emblazoned in the plastic on the back of this PackTech. It's like packtech-opi.com, and that'll give you the location of the nearest place that you can take those things back to.
Awesome. I think we have time for her last, well, this is the second to last slide. So
Yeah.
if anyone has any questions, I'll let Margo finish this slide and then we'll take a few questions and we'll just go just a couple minutes over 7. So
Can we get the slides?
yeah, I can, if Margo's okay with that, I can attach that in my survey email tonight.
Awesome.
Yeah. And there will also be, although we're undetermined as to the exact time frame of it, there will be available the recording that we're making of this. Whenever I tabled for solid waste and recycling, at least one person would come up to me and ask, "What about textile recycling?" And it is tough. First you use them as rags and then they become garbage. Or there are some places where you can donate them as rags. And that landscape shifts a lot. Just recently I went to a workshop on rug braiding at Curiosity Studio. And this is not the kind of fussy thing where you make a big long braid and then coil it up and sew it all together. It is weaving in a circle, and you add material at strategic points and you kind of become one with the process. You just have to feel your way around to make sure that you can make a nice rug without it, getting wavy or too tight or too loose. If it's too tight, your rug becomes a basket. People make t-shirt bags. They can weave or crochet with t-shirt yarn. Y'all who are in Art to Change the World have probably met Lucy Schrepfer. She does scrap quilting of even the smallest scraps that are on the floor. Sadie Ward does art from old bras, often picturing strong women images, historic things. And, the sky's the limit. You can think of your own upcycling ideas. And that is the end of Wish Cycling, Make Art Instead. By now, you should all know why each item in this graphic is not recyclable in current facilities.
But my question is, how can we get the word out to people that don't know what's recyclable anymore and what's not?
Well, each of these.
We just try all the time.
Yeah.
We're just,
Right.
as the cities and counties are just constantly trying to get this info to everybody, I ask all the cities in our county to at least, a couple times a year, get that whole list out there for everybody. How do you recycle? And then keep it simple too, just when people get overwhelmed about all these different plastics and stuff, if they just did beverage containers, don't be so overwhelmed that you can't deal with it anymore. Just do your, all your beverage containers, your clean paper, and your boxes. Yeah. And that has been people like this.
I like that. That's really helpful.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
People really like it. I mean, I've been using it more like with like at my church. We've got some multicultural stuff going on, and people have liked, a lot of that. Like, I remember now it's 1, 2, and 5,
Yeah.
they're so excited.
But what I have a problem with is when I have a piece of plastic and then there's like 3 different garbages to put it in, and I don't know if the piece of plastic is compostable because I don't know how to read that. Like if it doesn't say compostable right on it, I don't always know.
Yeah. Well, and you really can't tell. I mean, it's got to be labeled with the BPI logo, or you can't tell. And even some papers too. That's why we're so big on that logo, because it's just so important that it's been tested. It will really break down, because you're trying to separate the true compostable between the all the plastic poly-coated products,
Sure. Lily has a question. Lily, do you want to unmute yourself to ask it?
Yeah, can we go back to the plastic bags? Are they marked as number 4? I don't know enough about plastic bags, and I wonder if I'm recycling when it comes to plastic bags.
I think we said that no plastic bags were recyclable unless they were like a big shopping one. Or what did you guys say about plastic?
I'm not talking about recyclable like in the recycling bin. I'm talking about, you collect all your plastic bags that are broken, have holes in them, and you bring them to the Cub grocery store, right? So that I know you mentioned there are some varieties of bags, and some are number 4, and so that would be not recyclable, right? Anyway,
they hand sort those.
If it's sort of empty, make sure there's no food, that they're dry and they're empty. And if they've got some stretch, it's kind of interesting that there is a broader parameter that it's Trex who uses this stuff primarily. It gets shipped off to Trex, pretty much all the stuff in the metro area, unless there's a special little market someplace else. But, they have a little bit broader definition. And I'm sitting here going, oh, I should know the website where they promote it to people to earn park benches. It's nexttrex.com, I think, or .org, probably com. It's Trex. And there they have a great picture poster that talks about all the different things that they will take, like the bubble wrap, and I was resistant to this for many years, but the liners in a cereal box, because I'm like, these don't stretch. What do they mean? It's on their list though. And I think over time they've learned how to work with plastics that aren't quite as stretchy and that kind of thing. So the parameters have widened since they first started doing it. But yeah, I should try to, I think it's Next, like just NEXTREX. And that talks about their community collection program where you can earn park benches. Got a really nice poster.
Great. Awesome, guys. I think we have time for just one more question. Does anyone have one?
May I ask how you spell Nettrex? Is it NEXTREX, you said?
I think it's like NEX. I don't want to lose all you guys.
Why don't we look it up
on my phone?
If you put them in the grocery store, they like Merrick that hires they hire special needs. I've got nieces that work there. They have special needs people that are really good at sorting them, and so they sort them there, and then they bail it up and send it to Nextrex or whoever.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be an expert on the bags.
Go through all of that to get out the meat bags with meat in them or something that people threw in there, So they did a really good job though of cleaning it up.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much. I'll have Sam stop recording right now.